Well, people of the internet, there's no reason, there's no point in beating around the bush here. We have yet another Hogwarts Legacy rumor here today, and it is not a positive rumor. Also, unfortunately, it is coming from a credible source. We're not dealing in some random person on Twitter anymore. This is actually someone in video games media who has connections in the industry and who would certainly know. Gosh, I can't even bring myself to say it, guys. I really can't, because it's almost unbelievable. But the rumor that we are hearing is that Hogwarts Legacy has been delayed, or will be delayed rather, nothing official yet, but will be delayed to 2023. And it comes to us from Colin Moriarty of Last Stand Media. Now, if you're not familiar with Colin, he formerly worked at IGN and then kind of split off with Greg Miller to do Kind of Funny. Then they had a little bit of a falling out, and now he's doing his own thing at Last Stand Media, has a huge Sacred Symbols, which is a dedicated PlayStation podcast. And if you actually go looking for this information yourself, you won't be able to find it. So it took me a while to get to the bottom of this, guys. I started looking, I was listening to the podcast, and I'm like, they're not talking about this at all. This is like a 3+ hour podcast. So finally, I found a website that actually told me it is on his Sacred Symbols Plus podcast, which is unfortunately behind a Patreon paywall. So here is the quote from the podcast. It says, quote, "I'm hearing behind the scenes that game is not coming out this year and that it's in some sort of trouble," close quote. And that's really it. He didn't elaborate much from what I was able to read in these articles. Now, one thing that I was able to find in one of his recent public podcasts that is for anyone to view, whether you're a Patreon or not, is that he and his co-hosts had Hogwarts Legacy on their most anticipated games list of the year. Now, this one is Sacred Symbols episode 183, so it's our most anticipated games of 2022. I'll throw a link down in the description below. But on that episode, they actually talk at length about their excitement for Hogwarts Legacy and how they're looking forward to it. So when you combine that with this news that we have now, the Sacred Symbols Plus podcast actually came after that one, so it would make sense, and I want you to have that knowledge just so you know that this isn't somebody coming in trying to hate and just throw stuff on the wall and see what sticks. Colin is not one of those journalists who's just going to make stuff up and throw things out there and post random stuff on Twitter, which is the kind of Hogwarts Legacy rumors that we've been getting, guys. And trust me, I hate being the one to bring this news. I really do. I think our hope here is that his source is actually wrong. Maybe they heard wrong, but not for 1 second do I question his report. I think he undoubtedly has heard this from someone inside the video game industry. I think he probably has a lot of connections at Sony because that's where his bread and butter has always been. He is a very knowledgeable gamer and journalist when it comes to PlayStation. Now, perhaps adding even more fuel to the fire, PlayStation recently posted on their website an article called 22 in 22, upcoming PS5 and PS4 games to look forward to in 2022. And they list 22 different games, guys, that they are looking forward to, and Hogwarts Legacy is not on the list. Now, considering this game was unveiled at the PlayStation Showcase event for the PS5, I mean, this is not good. It's really not. I mean, when you take these two things together, I don't think it's a good sign. Now, I will have to say at the bottom of this article, it says release dates are subject to change and not all games may launch in 2022. So Sony is even acknowledging there, hey, some of the games on this list probably are going to get delayed and won't launch in 2022. But the fact that Hogwarts Legacy isn't there at all, it's kind of like, ooh, that makes me a little uneasy. But as I always try to tell you guys, I mean, I'm going to try my best to keep it real here. You know, this report would certainly go against kind of that momentum that we felt like was being built with the hiring of the community manager, with the posting for the localization job, and then Avalanche themselves saying, hey, we're going to talk more about the game in 2022. It has certainly felt like that things were moving in the right direction. So to me, it's not so much the fact that he says the game could be delayed, it's the fact that he literally says in some sort of trouble. Now again, his source could be wrong. I don't think we need to panic or anything like that, but I'm not gonna lie to you guys. I can't just sit here and say that I'm not concerned at all. I think this is definitely something that we should keep an eye on and definitely something that we need to be a little bit concerned over. So as I said in my last video, I'm not gonna cover every single little tiny rumor that pops up because let's be honest here, they're happening almost every day with Hogwarts Legacy. But this one here, to me, since it was from an actual person that we know confirmed to be in the video game industry who has connections, I thought we had to talk about this one. So again, industry folks hear things like this all the time. Sometimes they're wrong, a lot of times they're not. Let's just hope this is one of those instances where they are in fact wrong and that the game is still moving forward and still on track to come out this year. I mean, it's just insane if you think about this, guys. We are now in January of 2022. A year ago is when we first got news that the game was delayed delayed all the way to this year, which is just crazy, right? I mean, we thought it was going to be 2021. Then January of 2021 gets here. Right away, Avalanche is like, no, we're sorry, it's delayed. We're still working on it. Then we go an entire year without anything, guys, without anything. Finally, at the very, very end of 2021, they're like, hey, more news coming in 2022. They finally said something, which we were very pleased that they actually said anything at all. And now here we are in 2022, hearing that there is the potential that the game is delayed. Now, if you want to get caught up on all the Hogwarts Legacy news, kind of a full timeline, then check out the playlist on the left side of your screen. Or if you want to take a look back at the complete history of all the Harry Potter video games, then check out the video on the right side of your screen. As always, thank you all so much for watching. I'll talk to you again soon.